Good evening, everyone. Today is May the 3rd. Welcome to May. You need to brace yourself for tomorrow. There will be many May the 4th be with you, especially now that Star Wars is back in action. So, tonight, basically, in a nutshell, what I want to do is take the Impact for another test drive, and while we're at it, just test out the CPU 6700K to see sort of where it can run 05 at. Where I am at the moment is I've got Windows 8.1 installed, and I've got the setup basically up and running, but I haven't actually made sure that anything is running, and it doesn't look like anything is really running. But anyway, that will be part of the fun of the stream. So what have we got going today? So on the hardware part, we've got the Maximus 8 Impact running the HyperX Fury 2666. It's the same ones that we used in the ProOC Cup round 1. So this is basically for round 2. What I've got the Der8 auer BEAST cooling the CPU, and then we are running the Cooler Master V1200 Platinum, and that's our powerhouse for the day. The video card I've got in the system at the moment is the 980 Ti Posseidon, the ROG card. Last time I tried to run this card, I had some technical issues, so I just want to quickly test that. I do have another 980 on standby should this one be a little fussy tonight, shall we say. So without saying much more, I'm going to go ahead and change the screen and we can see what's going on. If you guys have got any questions, please, I will be monitoring the chat, so you feel free to drop a message there. And if you've got any comments, suggestions, I'm always open and welcome to some interaction. I quite enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. I'm not too sure what we'll accomplish, but let's get off and see what we get up to. So this is a fresh install of Windows 8.1, and what I wanted to do was quickly see, before I actually went and got too fancy, is just to make sure that 05 or 06 was actually running. And between those two benchmarks is what we're going to run tonight, so I don't feel like actually cooling the video card tonight, so we're not going to do anything too strenuous. But it looks like when I try to open up 05, it had some sort of glitches. Even Task Manager's been a bit fussy, but I can actually hit Control-Alt-Delete, and that does work. So let's just try restarting and see if Windows is just having a fanny wobble. If I remember correctly, the last time I tried to get 8.1 to work as well, I struggled. There's something that needs to be installed. I haven't had time to really look at it, which is not the right time now. But if we struggle to get 3D Mark to run, what we'll do is we'll abandon that and we'll just test out the CPU on another operating system. So it won't be like Optimum runs. It's a bit of a waste of nitrogen, but it's still a good test to see what happens with the CPU, I suppose. Alright, so that picture doesn't look too pretty. Alright, so just to go through the hardware quickly with you. What we've got is the 6700K processor and the Kingston HyperX Fury C15. Alright, so nothing too strenuous there, and then obviously the Impact. So this is the same Impact that on the last stream, the one memory channel was dead. I spent about 6 hours straightening pins and it's back to life. So it does need to go for a test drive. Do need to just make sure that it's working, and before we get too carried away with it. The video card, as you can see, is the ASUS 980 Ti, and it's got HyperX memory, and we are rendering at the appropriate speeds. So now let's just have a look and see 06 doesn't want to work. Let's see if 05 loads. I've got a feeling that this operating system is no good. I need to get a new one. Right. Okay, I don't think that's going to open. Let's change the driver quickly. Alright, let's just see if it runs here. Getting to the stage where it's almost like I need to rename my streams to Dr. Wee's Fights with Operating Systems. Okay, so maybe there's a new version of system info that's required. That could be the problem. Because it like locks up 8.1 completely. It's very strange. Let's try system info. Push the save mode button. So if you're watching my last stream, I went over like 5 tips for, for the rookies on before you start overclocking, a couple of things that you need to always do. So one of the 5 steps was to always test your system before you start overclocking, making sure that the system's actually working before you start punching in a whole lot of different settings, a whole lot of different values. So what I'm currently doing is exactly that step. I'm making sure that the system, before I actually cool down too far, before I actually get going, I'm making sure that the system does actually run. So I can identify quickly that it's not a condensation issue or not a moisture issue, because I've ruled that out completely by not going cold and not overclocking, but yet making sure that at least the system is running. Ah, dearie. So let's just try here. Very frustrating. Okay, it's progress. Right, so I need to remember to deactivate and reactivate the screen grab every time, otherwise it won't come through on the stream. Alright, well there we go. That's some good news. At least we got that up and running. So if we're going to start cooling down the processor, we need to get down to like minus 140. And from there we'll just set the memory. We're just going to run 3733, maybe what, 13, 18, 18 or 13, 17, 17, nothing too hectic. I'm going to do one of my favorite tricks is just to use the save profile, and really we're not trying to break any world records tonight. We're just wanting to load a semi-decent memory profile and be done with it. Tonight's really more about trying to see if I can get 6.5 out of this processor or not. So the processor I am running, it is the processor that was purchased from Case King, and let me find the box. I can't even remember what it's supposed to do. Okay. So it is a 6.52 8W watt prime at 1.9 volts. It's got a cold boot bug of minus 167 that I can confirm it does have, and no cold bug. So now it's a case of will it run 3 Mark 05 at 6.5, and if it does, then we are in a good position to be a little competitive depending on a few factors. So the first factor is the memory. The second factor would be the tweaks, and the third factor would be my patience. So the current best scores are all done with 6.6, 6.7 CPUs. Won't be able to compete with that, but I will be able to hopefully at least take a little bit of headway with my CPU if it can do 6.5, yeah? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start cooling the processor down. Let's just get something set up here. I don't think I've got any profiles to use as a foundation. We can maybe load profile 2 just so that it sets all of the like the power things. So 3 Mark 05, I think 4-core 8-thread, 4-core 4-thread is adequate. We don't need to run hyper-threading to get the maximum score out of it. Correct. Okay. And then we can go and set this to 100. And this will be set to, we'll start off at 50. Same thing here. Okay, so for 5 gigahertz, 1.45 DRAM. Now the 1.75 is where we want to be. Okay. 2x4 gig Hynix, single-sided. I think we need to change a few things here, but just occasionally for an initial boot, see if it just boots. We're going to try 3600 to start off with 1.85 volts, the AFR profile on the ASUS. Okay. So the power options I was talking about were basically all of these options here are set in their profile. That's the only reason why I loaded it. I didn't feel like having to go through all that again. And that can stay. And we need to put extreme tweaking on, enabled, yeah, and disabled SVID. So I think we can try and boot that. Okay, so first pass gave us a 41 with memory. Second pass looks like 41 as well. 32, 37, okay, no, it's fine. 55. I'm not sure. IMC. Okay, so that memory profile was just 55ing the whole time. My sticks aren't good enough, or there's one thing that's a little bit too tight, or the voltage was too high. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just take out some of those settings that I didn't quite agree with, and then see if we can train and post. The memory doesn't have to be too aggressive for what we're planning to do tonight. I just want to have a nice foundation. Okay, we'll leave all of these, and that I want to change to 16. But I'm sure that must be 7.4, or am I thinking more Samsung? And I think that there's too high at 15. Leave that, and during clock period, let's just put it to auto for now. We'll come back in for that. $55. Okay. I'm going to try lower voltage, I think. Too much voltage. Learning AFR all over again. It's okay. That's why we do these practice sessions, right? Okay, so for today's useless information, the temperature at the given time in the OC lab is not available. In the OC lab, we're looking at 22.4 degrees. That's about 4 degrees cooler than it normally is, and that's because it is now heading towards winter here in South Africa. The forecast temperature for 6 o'clock this evening outside is 15 degrees with a 46% humidity with a 0 cloud cover. The wind at the moment is blowing at 12 kilometers per hour. Nothing terribly exciting. So for those of you who are traveling to Computex, the current weather in Taiwan, when I found my weather app for international places, so I will be traveling to Taiwan. I'll be landing in the city on the 28th of May. That's in a couple of days' time. Really excited about that. And I will be then leaving around the 7th of June. So if you are in the area, please do look me up. I will be publishing my Taiwanese number when I get to town. I think I've still got my old SIM card. If I do, I'll be using that again. But I'm not too sure how long it stays active for. Right, so Taipei City at the moment is a nice and cozy 24 degrees with the forecast for Wednesday being 30 degrees high and 23 degrees low. Looking forward to experiencing a little bit of spring there, I should imagine, compared to the horrible winter we're heading into this side of the world. Right, so this is starting to look like it is stable. The memory clocks, it's really nothing to write home about. Should be using BDI. It's basically what the top 10 have all been using. I am not in a position to use BDI there. Not at the moment, at least. The idea is to give these Kingstons a good run. Or, sorry, say HyperX. Okay, so looking at my current best score for 3D Mark 05, I've got it written up on the board, is 73,000, looks like. Okay. Right, so let's just quickly have a look at what my current best score is for 3D Mark 05, 73,645. That was done with a 980 Ti and a 6700K at 6.4 gig using the Corsair Vengeance LPX. Okay, so this is a recent score. Quick and dirty, I was only able to run at 6.4, and I'm wondering if that's the same process I'm using at the moment, which is possibly it is. Okay, so let's just have a look at something else here. Looks like I didn't make any notes, but this was also done in Windows XP, so there should be some gain maybe in running a different operating system. Let's go ahead and find out. My process is currently running at -150, so for 5 gig, I mean that's plenty. It does have a cold boot bug around -167, so I'm sort of at the cold boot bug zone. And what we'll do now is just set up the clocks slightly, the voltages slightly, and boot into Windows, and then clock the remainder up from within Windows. Let's just boot it 60. Let's see if 60 boots. Okay, 35. Bit aggressive for the voltage, I think. So in a nutshell, the technique I like to deploy with the Skylake processor is to just boot in at like 5.5 or 5.8 or something to that effect. Then from within Windows, then go past your cold boot bug issues and run full pots or close to full pots, and then just bump the voltages and bump the multiplier up from within Windows. So the drawback to this method is when you hit issues and you crash, torch has to come out, you've got to warm back up again before you can get back into Windows. But I just feel it's safer than pumping the voltages straight off the back foot. So the torch generally lives closer. Cool. And one thing I haven't done yet is download the new background for ProOC Cup Round 2. Let me do that quickly. Okay. I think maybe still it's megahertz is a little bit too high for the voltage. Let's just go in safe mode and just set that multiply down a bit again. I'll set the voltage up a bit. 1.7 should be fine. Okay, so what's worrying me is that I'm at minus 171 and it's booting. Well, when we say booting, it's posting and it's going through the process. It's not actually booting into Windows, but it shouldn't be posting at these scores. So maybe I've got a bad mount, or maybe I've got the wrong CPU, which is also worrying because I've been quite careful with making sure that my CPUs are all properly stowed. Or it could also mean that my temperature probe is not seated properly. It's hard to say. We'll have to see what we can progress with here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just go back into BIOS again and change that multiplier down. It's not happy there. Okay, so there we've hit our cold boot bug. It's incredible actually to see how long ago I overclocked the 6700K to its full potential. Yeah, there's lots of 6320s and 6100s and 5 GHz challenges and plenty of memory overclocking. And RGP overclocking. Scary stuff. Okay, so we're at 5.6, I think, 1.7. I definitely wasn't vaulting enough to post at the speeds we wanted to post at, so I just want to go ahead and we'll just crank up the temperature and let's just do a test run quickly. I just want to make sure that it is running at that temperature. I think I need to run CPU tests. No, I don't. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to disable the screen. There we go. Okay, so the temperature now is minus 189. It's bubbling, so it's running full pot, no problem. Okay, so blue screen of death. The retry button, and I think we can hit cold boot bug. Yep. I mean, really, it should run this easily. I'm just not feeling it tonight, I must be honest. Long day at work. I'm making a silly mistake somewhere, I guarantee it. Hmm. What shall we run? W Prom's a pain in the ass on. Yeah. Alright, so my thinking here is that I've completely forgotten how to overclock a 6700K, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to step it up little bit by little bit, seeing where I crash, and then when I increase the voltages, see where I crash, increase the voltages, instead of just being a cowboy and just banging it in, 1.8, 1.9, thinking I can get it done. But it looks like I need to actually spend a little bit of time trying to max out 6700Ks just in time for the next bloody processes to come out. Yeah. Luckily, you get to experience it all live on Twitch. So we were at 1.755, and we'll go to 1.79, and we were at a 60 ratio, and we crashed W prime. We were full pot. So I'm just going to go ahead and where is it now? No. They run it as administrator, okay. So let's step back to 4. And temperature, we are at 160, so we'll just get down to 175. It goes quick enough. And try again. Okay, so we're still crashing there. Maybe it's the mount. The other possibility is as well, is it could actually be the motherboard. I think maybe what I should do is test the same CPU in my Extreme. So to give you some background, what happened to the impact is somewhere between setting up for the previous stream and actually doing the previous stream, a whole bunch of pins got dented, and it could have been from over mounting the one cooler, or it could have been from a finger. I don't know, but I spent about 6 hours in straightening all the pins, so it's come back to life. I did have some interesting moments where the PCI Express lane stopped working. I had a memory channel stop working, but it's all come back on and off. So it's possible that we could also be experiencing some technical glitches due to my handiwork. But it could also just be the mount, because what happened was the first time I mounted this evening, I did lose my PCI Express lane, so I had to loosen up all the bolts, move the pot around a bit, and then basically the PCI Express lane came back. So I think there's still 1 or 2 pins that aren't quite 100%. It's possible that could be my cause of the problem here, because I definitely know the CPU can do a lot more than 6 gig. It's just crazy. So I would be lying if I said to you I wasn't tired from a bit of a heavy day at the office, but we'll persevere. So it looks like I was just maybe undervolting. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, so if I'm posting at full pot, then I'm definitely suspecting that the mount is not so lacquer. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna call it. So that behavior that we just experienced there was sort of like a OCP sort of overclock protection type sort of reboot. But I see this is all set. You know what it might be? No, that's set there, 255. I wonder. Yeah. Let's not waste any more LN2 on a mount that we're not 100% certain of. Trust your instinct always. You know, if if you think it's something, you could persevere for another 2 hours and not actually achieve anything, but run into a brick wall because of something simple like the mount is bad. If you suspect the mount is bad, trust your gut and rather save the LN2, break down, and start the session again rather than just persevering and pushing through, hitting a brick wall. We'll try one more time, but I'm hope there's maybe. Let's see. Either that or maybe getting some sort of a overcurrent protection on the power supply. It's possible that the power supply is trying to protect your equipment from a surge or something to that effect. That's why we had that OCP in the previous run. Okay, but really, if I can't run at 6.1 and I'm hitting problems, I'm really suspecting that the mount is not good. So I'm going to go ahead and call this session done and dusted. We will come back and revisit this again tomorrow maybe, or definitely on Thursday I'll be back for another stream. So guys, yeah, thanks for tuning in. We're going to leave it on that bombshell, and yeah, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and follow me on Facebook and the Twitch channel, so that you can keep up to date with as when I go live. In a nutshell, from me, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, happy benching.